This is the Domain Magnet Show, where you'll learn everything you need to know about buying, optimizing, and selling online businesses with your host, Michael Beroslavsky.
On this episode, we are talking to Matt Raad, co-founder of eBusiness Institute. Matt has acquired over 100 content websites, and he now teaches people how to buy and grow online businesses and content websites. And Matt has a background in M&A, and he used to help and assist in acquiring businesses under $20 million. So I'm really excited to talk to Matt now because we've had a few conversations before, and I've always enjoyed discussing the industry with him. Hi, Matt.
Hey, Michael, how you going? Yeah, it's great having a chat to you and realizing that we've got very similar backgrounds, on and shared experiences online.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always fun to talk to someone that had kind of a very similar experience, very similar background, being around this industry at the same time. And I think we've probably been on some of the same websites at some point on Flipper and SitePoint before,
because we both that's where we started out buying sites like yourself on SitePoint. And as I mentioned to you, the very first website that Liz and I ever bought, and I would not recommend it, we bought it on eBay because this was back in 2008, 2009, and then we were buying off SitePoint before Flipper existed, and we're probably bidding on the same sites against each other.
Yeah, so when did you buy your first website?
I think it was 2009 when our daughter was born, but so we started out online the hard way, learning how to code and build a website, and I'm not technical at all. And Liz, my wife, she loved that kind of a thing, and we just had a new family. And so she could be at home and learn how to build a website. And then after doing that, she launched a website, a membership site, and did really well out of it. It was hard though, it nearly failed, but this was in 2008 or 2009, I think. And then she found it, like, even though it was making good money, she found that I think she made about $5,000 a month out of that site when she got it going, which was good money back then. And she was very successful. She said, I remember her saying, Matt, there's got to be an easier way. Why can't we just buy these websites? This is way too hard. It took her a year or two to build that site up. She said, let's just do what we've always done. I'm going to find a way to buy them. And back then, as you know, there was no marketplaces. And so she just started looking around and individually approaching people to see if they want to sell their websites, which is what we used to do in mergers and acquisitions as well. And literally, we did exactly the same thing that we used to do with offline businesses. We just did it online, and it was heaps easier. It went really well.
Yeah, absolutely. There was just almost no competition at the time.
Yeah.
And it's interesting you mentioned that you learned coding in the beginning. I also learned a little bit. I was actually studying to be a programmer before I got into this business, but I never graduated, so I never got a chance to work as a programmer. And what I've learned is that I didn't actually like coding. So while I was studying to be a programmer, I realized I don't like coding. And so when I started building and buying websites, I figured that I may need to know some basic coding. So of course I learned the HTML, but then I had this choice whether or not I wanted to learn PHP and really like code some things on my own. And I decided not to. It surprised, despite my background, because I realized it's easy enough to find and hire them. Yeah. And then I kind of, for the first few years, it was quite a big deal because back then, like 2004, 2005, 2006, I was mostly building these like big site networks with hundreds of websites, kind of like a slightly like black hat for good rankings and interlinking them. And so coding was quite a big deal at the time. And I remember thinking that maybe I'd made the wrong decision. Maybe I should have learned it. But that only lasted for a couple of years, and then I just stopped with all the black hat stuff because it stopped working. I wonder if you also tried similar things, like having this big network of sites. Yeah. If that's
So same thing. So for us, I really dislike coding. I couldn't do it. And when I say coding, it was just basic HTML, and it was Liz. She's really good at it. And what she learned was she used Dreamweaver. Do you remember Dreamweaver?
Yeah.
So that's how she built her first website, with Dreamweaver. And so she had to learn what we considered coding, but we're total beginners online, and we struggled with it. It took us, that's our one regret in life, is that we didn't get over the technical stuff earlier. Because back then, it's not like now, it's easy to build websites now. You're doing it all through WordPress, but back then it was really hard. But even for myself, who I disliked coding, I had to learn a little bit of HTML to do what you just said, to do all the interlinking of SEO and stuff. It was handy to know a bit of HTML in the background when I was doing like anchor text links and stuff. And yes, we did have big networks. They were the good old days where we had, I guess it would be called black hat SEO now, but we had sites with lots and lots of links and big networks. They'd be called a link farm these days. And we literally would buy up as many sites as we could in one niche. So if, say, we're in a pet niche, if it was dog training, for instance, we'd buy up as many sites as we could in the dog training niche and just try and own it. And then we'd interlink them all. And I'm sure that's what a lot of us did back in those days. And it was very effective, very effective.
Yeah, I made it even much easier back in 2006. I had pretty much all my websites interlinked, talking about thousands of websites. And I remember I used my technical background to design this very little script that was managing to hash the pages in order to create a unique link. And then it would show like several unique links on each page that would be randomly going to one of the other sites. But the links were fixed because it used the pages to hash them, and it kind of like added unique information and several unique links. So I kind of had on each page of the website, I would usually have like 3 or 4 unique links to one of the random pages from another website. And I would just have everything cross-linked. So you would have sites about finance. So finance was my best niche at the time, because the Google AdSense CPCs were the highest.
Oh yeah.
And then I would have like health sites and like everything just like completely random, and everything cross-linked randomly. And it worked very well. I remember I was doing some tests, and like 2 or 3 weeks after building a website, it gets indexed and it starts sending traffic. And that was great until about, I think early 2007 is when the Google updates started rolling out, and then my network just got de-indexed from Google, and that was the end of it.
Yeah. Well, we were the same, and I think a lot of my friends too, who started back then, we all did, like, we would swap links as well privately in private networks and things. And what was interesting for me, coming from a bricks and mortar background, so we used to, as you mentioned in the intro, we would help private equity firms acquire businesses up to $20 million. And this is here in Sydney, Australia. And so we were kind of spotters and mergers and acquisitions advisors, and working as brokers as well. And so we'd help broker those deals. But what's interesting is, in that world, it was very cutthroat. And in bricks and mortar world, what we noticed was confidentiality was super, super important, and you were never allowed to talk about deals anywhere, and people weren't very sharing in certain verticals. And what I noticed when I got online, I started doing collaborations with my actual competitors in the same niche. You know, people were so friendly and open, and that carries through to today. And it's one of the things I think I love about being online. It was funny, I got to know we'd ranked, we'd been the top 10, and there's can only be 10 people on that front page of Google. I got to know, a couple of my main competitors personally, and these are people who we're in Australia, and these were guys in the US normally. And we became really good friends with them over the years, and business kind of acquaintances. I guess we'd swap SEO notes, because I was really good at SEO, but also I'd buy sites off them and things like that. So it's pretty cool. I think that's one of the things we enjoyed so much about being on live is the collaborative nature, even with your competitor. I don't say that happens in every niche, but certainly in some of the niches we're in, and it really helps. So you kind of you form a really good network online.
Yeah, I agree. I love that about my industry as well. Even now, even now that I'm able to talk to all of our sort of competitors. I don't see them as competitors, but
no,
they do provide similar services. But we are all basically friendly. Everyone who, we've had many of them on our podcast. All the people who provide similar services in terms of like managing sites, operating sites, who operate different funds. And even though we technically compete for kind of the same investors or the same deals, we can still collaborate. Sometimes we do deals with each other, like sell, buy sites from each other. So that's always a great thing. Yeah.
And that gave us a big boost when we came online, because we realized other people on the other side of the planet in the same boat as Liz and I, they've got young kids, and we're all working away to make money on with these advertising sites or affiliate sites. And that's how we bought a lot of sites as well, through networking, talking to people in our niches. So we would typically go into hobby niches, and we still recommend that now to this day. So we'd go into crafting niches, or learn how to play golf type thing, just sort of hobby niches. So in those niches, it was really cool to network. That's how we bought a lot of really good websites. And one of our strategies was, and still is now, is not buy the sites that are on the page 1 of Google. We'd go down to page 5 or page 6 and start approaching, because we know they're not making money, and they'd probably sell us the site cheap, because it's kind of, and I think that strategy still works really, really well today, maybe even better today, because obviously now, fast forward, a decade, as you know, the valuations for websites have gone up dramatically. And, everyone's selling them on the broker platforms like Flipper and Empire Flipper and QuietLight and stuff. But I think there's still room to do exactly what we did a decade ago, which is getting to know people in your niche and privately buying websites. That would work well for you guys too, in sourcing some of these bigger sites that you're looking for, maybe as well. No, actually, smaller sites.
Yeah, we do it too. That reminded me an SEO joke. Where do you hide a body? On the second page of Google results.
Well, try page 5. That's
but realistically, I think even nowadays no one really goes to the second page. So we know that there is such a huge difference between getting to the first page. So like I love, and sometimes we buy a site where you see most rankings on the second page, like you'd be like 11 until 20th. And then as soon as you push them to the first page, it's just a drastic increase, like a 10 times increase in traffic. So
well, that's always been our strategy, and that's one of the things we teach. And like for beginners, I think there's still a huge opportunity out there to buy these lower ranking content sites and fix them up relatively easy and learn how to monetize them better. That's another big thing that's changed over the years that we've seen. It's a lot, I won't say it's easier, but I think there's a lot more opportunities to monetize sites a lot better now. And I think that helps beginners as well when you're buying these small sites. So it's a really good strategy, buying these sites that are, not doing so well and fixing them up, and getting them onto that front page of Google. And that's basically how we started online too. Once we got into this, realizing, hey, there's lots of opportunities to buy these sites and just fix them up. Call it renovate the site. And then Liz and I tend to hold for cash flow though. We didn't flip. We were never into flipping websites.
Yeah. It's I remember back like 15 years ago, the main thing was just optimizing the Google AdSense positions. Because most people were simply not aware that if you put the ad on top of the page, you will get way more clicks. And obviously now it's all automated, so that's not such a big deal. But now the opportunities are more like using the premium networks such as at Thrive, or even Ezoic and Mediavine, or using some affiliate deals and negotiating some private affiliate deals. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
so you built your first website in 2009 from eBay. Tell me more about the next acquisitions after that. So did it go well, this website? And like the next deals, how did you find them? What sizes were they?
Yeah, so the first site was one that we built ourselves, and that took a year or two to get working, and that was a hard slog. But I think, like I said, Liz, I'm pretty sure that was Liz's site. I didn't really work on that one much. She got that to make me about $5,000 a month, and that was in a crafting niche. And then that's when she had the famous conversation with me and said, Matt, why don't we just do what we've always done? Because we've also always bought and sold bricks and mortar businesses ourselves as well. Typically, we'd have, our background's buying and selling manufacturing businesses. And so when we looked online, we realized, well, we can do this online, but we avoided e-commerce sites. We never touch e-com sites because of our background with bricks and mortar businesses involved with stock or inventory. We realize as an entrepreneur, particularly when you're young and you don't have a lot of money, that really holds you back. We're always, in massive debt to the banks, trying to hold all this stock in warehouses in Sydney. And it really held us back as entrepreneurs. So when we got online, I mean, we were literally like kids in a candy shop. We suddenly realized I don't have to have physical inventory anymore. I can just sell it for a commission and get what's called an affiliate link. That was like the perfect business model for us. So that's purely what we went for. We mainly went for affiliate sites and AdSense sites. And the very first, well, I think, I'm just thinking back to some of the sites we bought far out. I guess in a way we got lucky. They went really well. They were in hobby niches. They had really good affiliate offers on them, and we just had to optimize them a bit. And we had to learn SEO as well. In the early days, we did do a lot of paid traffic. And then we realized this is cool. We can make money off it through AdSense as well. But we quickly started replicating like what we did with bricks and mortar business, which is buying multiple sites in the same niche. That was kind of our strategy. And then we'd optimize for either AdSense or better affiliate offers on there. And we just fix up, add better content, fix up the sites. And it quickly became a full-time thing for us. So we replaced our incomes pretty quickly. When I say quickly, I say within a year or two. And we just absolutely loved it. It was very, very successful for us compared to, I want to reiterate though, compared to bricks and mortar world, where we're in debt to the banks very heavily, and it was very stressful financially with bricks and mortar businesses. Coming online, we went totally debt free. We didn't need to buy stock anymore. And, some sites didn't work, obviously, they would fail, but, we just kept buying more sites.
Very good. Yeah, so that's an interesting approach to that, since you came from a different world. When I started buying sites, I was a student. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any debt or anything. So I was just excited that also I could buy cheap. The first website I bought, I remember it was $120. It was a small gambling related sites about blackjack, and it had a little blackjack app that you could play online in JavaScript.
Cool.
And some Google AdSense. And I remember the website didn't make much money, but then like a year later, I was able to sell it to this large gambling affiliate company for $2,500. And I was really excited about that because I didn't do much, and I sold it for like 20 times higher than what I paid for it.
Right.
And then there's a memorable deal I remember is that kind of the first bigger website I acquired was for $4,500, and it was earning $300. And what was very under optimized was about quitting smoking, and I liked the niche, so I quickly grew it to $1,000 per month, and then I could also had an opportunity to sell it for $25,000, but decided not to. And after that, it got hit by an update, but the site was quite profitable, so I managed to make a good profit from it. I actually still have it. Yeah, I'm curious to hear what were your first stories, like some first deals.
Oh, well, one of our best success stories that we love to say, because I can remember the day when we fixed up this site. We bought this. It didn't look that much. It was in a dating niche. And we bought it on, we agreed with the seller on a 10 times multiple. It was our first big buy. This is back in the day. And it was making $1,900 a month US. That was net profit, net after all the expenses. And it was basically a big content site, and which was quite unique in its day. This is, going back a decade. And so we paid $19,000 for that website. And it wasn't on a broker platform or anything like that. And we took it over and we put Google Analytics onto it. And we'd had it during due diligence. We're looking at the Google Analytics and we could see a lot of traffic just going to 2 or 3 key pages, which is a bit of a risk, as you would know. But when we took it over, what we saw when we were doing the due diligence on those 2 pages, it was because it was content, there was no monetization at all. And yet heaps of traffic was going to these pages. It was, what was the traffic on that? It was a large amount of traffic because the site was making $1,900. So literally all we did, I remember sitting there with Liz, and she's more technical than me. I didn't know how to do it. She just put on some ads and connected up a key affiliate offer, and also did a little redirect, like convinced the traffic to go to one of our main money-making pages. And literally by that afternoon, basically with the next day, we doubled the income. It went to $3,000 a month, and it stayed that consistently for years. We actually renovated the site. We did a lot more work to that site, but that was like hitting gold, to double that straight away. And we built that site up. It came with other sites, and we eventually got that up to making, I think, like it would vary depending on the season and things, but we got that making between $6,000 to $10,000 a month. And that was and we sold it. Now I'm kicking myself that we sold it. We sold it to a big, much bigger buyer, like a corporate, for, what was that? 120 grand. And now it'd be worth heaps more than that. And they were smarter than we were back then. But to us, that was a lot of money. We were really excited about that, because we could just use that money with the next deals. But that was, for us, I guess that was the real eye-opening point at how, when you hit the winners, it's actually easier than you think. I think it was a real mindset thing, because we're used to working our butts out as entrepreneurs in business. Like Liz and I, since we left uni, we took every risk under the sun, and we worked our butts out in it. Always, it was tricky running businesses that rely on bricks and mortar world with, stock. I guess you can probably see it. I never, ever want to go back there, because we're in debt to the bank and all that sort of stuff. And then to come in and buy this site for $19,000, and within a week, literally getting it to make $3,000 a month net profit, that was a return that we'd never seen in a bricks and mortar business, not that quick. So we used to turn around bricks and mortar businesses. It would take us about 12 months normally. We did this one in a week. So pretty, and three grand a month, that's a lot of money there. And then to get it up to 10 grand a month, that was pretty exciting. And we got to negotiate with, we got much better affiliate offers on that side as well. So that's why we were able to get that income up so high later on. Once we got that site going really well, and we dominated in that niche as well for many years. So we're very, very happy with that one. It was in the good old days of, we had lots of interlinking coming into it. I had this big link wheel going with that site. That's where I learned how to do SEO too on that site over the next few years.
Yeah, that's what I love about the content sites as well, that you can turn things around pretty quickly, and that it doesn't take a long time. Like one of the sites, we did a public case study on 420beginner.com. We acquired for just under $50,000 and then sold for $165,000 just 5 months later. Only in 5 months with just some small changes. And that's how it is. It doesn't take a lot of work, but it does certainly take expertise. So it's really important, of course, to know what are the things you need to change, what are the things you push. And I've seen it so many times when I sell sites, and I see that someone, if the buyer is not as experienced, they often start focusing kind of on all the wrong things. Like you would see them putting so much effort into redesigning and redesigning and redesigning, or kind of like keeping track on all the different links. And often I notice and I tell them, like, this is what you should be doing instead. But most of the time people don't pay attention unless they pay for the lesson. They just like, oh, okay, well, thanks for the advice. And then they keep doing what they're doing. And it really,
we learned the hard way through practical. Like I know I make it sound easy now because we've been doing this for a long time, but those first few years were it was a big learning, a learning journey for us, and they were tough at first to learn that. Like for Liz, she, on her first site, she nearly gave up numerous times, and luckily she had a mentor at the time who said to her, look, you're nearly there, you're getting this site to the break-even point, you just need a few more tweaks. And like you just said, Michael, she was as a beginner, she was focusing on the wrong things, and once she tweaked up the site, it took off. It went really well. And I think that's one of the things that I guess we're passionate about these days, is teaching beginners how to make money online and how to focus on the right things, because we made all the mistakes in the early days, as you all do, as everyone does. And, we had sites get hit by Google updates and stuff, and we lost lots of money through Google updates, but we always recovered. We figured out how to fix it up and how to do things right, and how to, provide what Google are actually looking for. So, like you said, it is interesting that beginners do tend to focus. That's an interesting observation. A lot of beginners do tend to focus on the wrong things. And hopefully that's what we do well these days, is teaching beginners, no, focus on this bit. You're here to make money off these sites. And so, I think it's a really good time for beginners now. It's a lot easier than it was back then.
Yeah, so you transitioned from buying and managing your own portfolio of sites to teaching people. How did that happen? What made you do that?
Yeah, well, we still buy and sell our own websites. And these days, it's interesting, we can talk about this later in the interview and why, but we actually are really big fans now of building websites. We're going back to our original roots because valuations have gone so high. So we've always bought and sold our own websites, and we've always had a portfolio of sites. But over the years, we've been asked by more and more people, saying, hey, how are you making money now off your, because people knew that we were good with bricks and mortar businesses and buying and selling those. We used to have people come to us and for advice on that. And then over the years, we've had lots of people say, well, how do you do it with online businesses? So we just started teaching people, started very small. Just here in Australia, we just would talk privately to little groups of like 20 people or so. And it was really popular. People liked what we taught. It was very successful for them. We've had some really successful clients who are kind of like Liz and I, who I think of two of our most successful clients, and Lucy and Gary, you can see it on our website, their story. They're in a very similar background to Liz and I, in that they had a big wholesale import business. So again, this idea of relying on physical inventory, and they were struggling with that. And they were one of our first clients who created a 7-figure business out of this online, because they came in, they learnt with us for many years, and they wanted to learn off us. And at first we weren't able to easily teach them. We didn't have any formal courses set up. And I said to Gary, no, mate, you got to wait till next year, and then I'll start teaching this stuff. And then once he started learning, he just bought little $200 websites. And once they learned how to do that, then they just started buying bigger and bigger websites. And they bought some sites for under a 10 times multiple, and they'd get their money back within 6 months of buying websites, which is pretty phenomenal. This was a few years ago, but they got, they were buying simple affiliate sites. I remember one of them they bought for $13,000, and I think within 6 months they were making $13,000 a month off it.
Very good.
So they blitzed it. very, very quickly. And so with the success like that in the early days, we were getting some really big success stories with our clients. And I think that just inspired Liz and I to continue on and do this full time. And that's why we started the E-Business Institute, and we teach digital marketing as well. So not just buying websites, but we teach people how to build websites that actually work.
So how long have you been teaching now?
Well, probably it would be nearly, 2022. So easily 10 years. We started we got asked reasonably, because when we got online, I think we first got online 2008, 2009. So by 2010, 2011, we were speaking to people about what we were doing. And so, yeah, we've been teaching people now for probably a decade, 10 years.
All right, very good. So you've been teaching for a lot longer than you've been focusing on just buying and growing your own site, I imagine.
Well, we've been buying and selling our own sites for that time as well. Yeah.
Okay,
so see,
good.
Our other option all those years ago was to do, it's funny, all the brokers as well. And we all seem to have started online around the same time. All of us, like yourself, buying and building AdSense sites. And what we decided back then, we never wanted to go back to being brokers. We don't broker website deals. We've got no interest in it, because we did that for 10 years previously with bricks and mortar businesses. We're kind of sick of it. It's not our thing. We're good at it, but we decided instead to teach people what we do. And I noticed a lot of the brokers went in, we used to see them online. Now they're famous, well-known website brokers like Thomas Smale from FE and Justin Cook from Empire Flippers, and yourself, and all the people that we know. We went the opposite way. We decided to teach people what we do, because we just love it. We love inspiring beginners, because we were so successful at it. We thought this is a good thing for us to teach other people how to do it and get financial freedom. So we're really passionate about that.
So how many students have you had, and how do you teach yourself, or do you have some more people in the team who help with teaching?
We've got a team now. So we've got a number of coaches who are all ex-students of ours. So the clients that I just mentioned, Lucy and Gary, so Lucy's one of our coaches. So we've got some of our most successful students who are on board with us at eBusiness now, working as coaches, helping beginners. In terms of, but also Liz and I are very hands-on. So I personally coach people. I love it. I get to, Michael, you should see the stuff I see. I get to I get to do so many website due diligences. It's just not funny. And I get to see amazing deals, and also get to help students build sites or buy these little sites and watch them build up into, 6 and 7, the high 5 and 6 figure incomes. It's it's a bit of a buzz. So I get to live through my students, which is unreal. So, and the other day, like recently, we've been helping some students on 7-figure websites now, and that's a buzz. So since COVID, a lot of our students, their sites have gone exponential, gone really well. And so I personally get to help them on those and advise them about, okay, well, what are you going to do here? You're going to sell these to people like yourself, or you're going to get people in to manage it like what you guys do, or what are you doing SEO wise? That's the sort of thing I work on. And we've got quite a big community now. But over the years, we would have trained thousands of people, I think, but all here in Australia.
Yeah, very good. So on episode 52, we've spoken with Ricky Kessler of Income School, and they do something very similar to what you guys do. They teach people, except they don't teach how to buy, they teach people how to build websites. Yep. And it's interesting because they have a very well-structured program, and they've had many students now, where they have it's structured by timelines. So it takes more or less, if I recall, like 2 years to build a very profitable content website. And so there is like the first 6 months, and then like the next 6 months, like you prepare it, and like you start videos and YouTube and so on. And so the program is very structured. And I'm curious if it's the same approach that you have, or how did you actually structure your whole education. If I were someone who
Yeah.
doesn't know anything about buying sites and I come to you, how does it work?
Yeah, ours is very structured as well. It's a set process, and because we realize we're teaching total beginners, we don't cater for advanced people or intermediates, but it is structured, and the main structure is, it's pretty simple, is start out small. Go onto a site like Flipper and buy a small site under $1,000, or whatever your budget is, but start out small and then build your skills in a structured manner. But we don't have time structures like Ricky. It's more because also we cater for people who are doing this part-time. Most of our client base would be in their 40s or 50s and above, and they're typically working full-time jobs. So what we've learned, something really interesting that we've noticed over the years, we used to have like a timeline on it, but now what we have to do is give people, it's a multi-year process because everyone's so busy now. It's really noticeable in the last 5 years. I think society's changed. People are a lot more, they don't have as much time free. So now we've structured the course. It's more milestones and lessons. So they'll work on, learn how to do keyword research, learn how to do due diligence. So however long that takes, however long it takes them. Some people, they can learn it in a couple of weeks. Other people can learn in they might take them 6 months or a year. There's no timeline to it, but it is structured in terms of what we teach them though.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned people have become busier. I also noticed that everything is just getting a lot busier lately, and we are sort of positioned outside the typical society, right? Like the typical structure of having a job and so on. But still it's very visible. And so how long would you say it takes your average student to get to a point where they, first of all, there they can buy their first website, and then maybe secondly to a point where they sort of know enough to buy a bigger website or can actually make profits?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's a tricky one because they don't study as much as they should because life gets in the way, so we've structured the course. We say it's like doing a part-time diploma. So give yourself a year to do it. So it depends. People could go and learn how to do website due diligence off, say, our digital investor program. They could learn how to do it, and they could get out there and start buying small websites off Flipper within, even within 10 days, in the first month. But the reality is, in life, people get busy and they've got to practice. And particularly too, we've got this broad range of people that come on the course with a broad range of skills. Some, because they're total beginners online, there's typically a lot to learn for people to get online. So what I say to people is, look, if you're brand new to this online space, give yourself the gift of time, treat it as like an after hours diploma, like doing a part-time course at night. Give yourself a good 12 months to work at it. And that way, within that 12 months, you should be able to buy small sites. Then you should be able to step, depending on your budget, and then you should be able to step it up into buying, starting to buy bigger sites, like, sites, say, under $20,000 still maybe, but into that range. That's typically the goal within that 12-month range.
Okay, so I have a few questions from that I think people with different experiences might be interested in. So first of all, there are many people who build some websites, who build some small websites, especially affiliate websites, and maybe they've been successful with that, but they've never bought a website. So how would you approach that? What do you think they would need to learn? And how would you teach someone like that?
Yeah, really good question. That's the core fundamental skill we teach now, is how to build a website. Once you've got that skill down pat, I think you're halfway there, because then it's a no-brainer. Then you need to learn how to do website due diligence, and included in that is keyword research. That's probably the main skill you'd want to learn but you need some online experience to do good website due diligence, as you know. And the best experience comes from learning how to build a website, in my opinion. That's what I've observed over the years now of teaching people. We used to teach, back when we were brand new at teaching people, we just straight went into teaching people how to do website due diligence. It never worked as well until we started teaching people, hey, hang on a minute, here's how a website works. You need to go away and learn how to build one. Once we taught people how to build a website, basic website in WordPress and a little bit of basic SEO, then the results went through the roof, because then the due diligence made a lot more sense and they knew what they were looking for when they were buying websites. So that's our main advice to people now is you need to learn both, like how to build a website. And also then I think a key money-making skill in this day and age is learning how to do website due diligence. I think it's what we're teaching our own kids. Yeah. You know, I think it's a big money-making skill for the future.
So when I personally think about it, I feel that skill of just knowing where to focus your attention is really the main one. And it's just a completely hilarious example right now that comes to mind is we sold this small website, I think a year ago. It's pretty small. And now the buyer, and in the beginning when we sold it, the buyer was like very, very organized. We had this person who was managing the site and he was very organized. Like he got us to send him all the accounts. He took over all these little social accounts, all these little like tiny details that he needed to know, like where is this, there is what, when was this article uploaded, how many articles it had, and so on. And it was funny because it was such a small site, but I had to spend like a little bit of time to update all that. And then now they followed up, and again they were asking for some information, like they wanted some previous screenshots and some extra details. And they're very meticulous. But I just looked it up. They never even changed the affiliate IDs. Like we are still receiving revenue for the website. And it was just completely ridiculous, because that's absolutely the first thing you would do is you go and change your affiliate IDs. And instead they did all the other things. And of course I think that'd be a very rare example. Yeah. But it just shows you that how important it is to really understand what you're doing, and then you would know right away where to focus. So how do you teach that skill?
Yeah, and through practice and reps. That's what we get people to start out on small sites. And I've got a great example is Nathan and Alexa, their first site that they bought, one of our students, on that lesson, they had to learn from scratch. Like Nathan, he's an electrician, and Alexa was working in customer support. So they'd never been online before. And they bought this little site about cheese making off Flipper for $900. And they just learned everything that we taught on that site. So they learned how to change the affiliate links and how to add more content. That's basically what they did. And they also learned how to do keyword research. And one of the key things, talking of things to focus on, one of the first things I got them to do on the site was change how it's monetized, because the previous owner was all about cheese making. They'd never really been monetized. So they just put Google ads on there and that was it. And then they just fixed up the content. And anyway, I think they only had it 2 years. That's one of our big success stories. They sold it for $17,000. So, not bad for a learning site, from focusing on the main things. And now these guys have just gone on and they just follow that system. They bought another site recently they shared it at one of our live events for $300. This is a site on gardening, and just bought it off some guy here in Australia, just kind of got talking to him, and they're already in the niche. And they just said, how much do you want it? And he said, $300. They know how to do website due diligence. Exactly the same thing. They just put on new ads and put on content, and they know how to do keyword research. And that site now, I'm just helping them now, coaching them through this. It is now making $2,000 a month.
All right, that's very impressive. And I noticed that all the examples are kind of like hobby niches. Is that a focus?
Hobby niches. We say health, wealth, and happiness. So like you, if you can, the problem with the wealth niche is, as you know, it's a lot more competitive and it's a lot more expensive to get in there. So we've made lots of money in the wealth niche as well, because you get paid, you can get paid $200 a lead for finance leads and stuff. But it's not an easy niche for beginners. So in answer to your question, if you're listening to this and you're more intermediate, I would definitely look at the wealth niche. But health, wealth, and happiness we call like hobby sites. And so health and happiness niches seem to be the easiest for beginners still. And so, happiness would be anything where you're learning a hobby or whatever. And the health niche, far out of, we've got some good success stories with our students there. So total beginners, like I mentioned to you before the podcast here today, one of our students, Lisa, she was a total beginner. And again, learned how to do due diligence off us, bought a really cool, simple affiliate site. It's just an Amazon affiliate site in the health niche, just recommending certain health products. And it was only making $200 a month, and it cost her $2,000. And again, what she's mainly focused on is exactly what you just said, Michael. She's changed the monetization on that site, and she's got direct affiliate offers off there. And of course, during COVID, the health niche just went ballistic. She got that up to making $5,000 a month. And now it's gone even stronger because she's doing a lot of content SEO on there, putting lots and lots of really good content, changing out the affiliate offers. And now it's up to $30,000 a month on that site. So that'll be a 7-figure website sale. Wow, so we've already had a broker value it for her at $1 million. So, it's pretty impressive. And she's just focusing on the basics, like really straightforward stuff, changing out affiliate offers and putting on regular content. The previous owner never put any content on that website. And it ranked nowhere in the Google SERPs. It was only a little $2,000 website. Now it ranks number 1, or it's on the front page for some of its keyword terms. So it is important to know what to focus on, definitely.
Yeah, that's very impressive. So we personally try not to buy anything health related anymore because of the Google Medic update, the Your Money, Your Life pages that get affected. So it's much harder to rank unless you have a massive authority in the health niche.
Well, one of the things that we've just recommended to Lisa, that Lisa, because I'm coaching her on this site, is on that note, is hiring people who come from the industry and who do have qualifications behind them. So she's got some exercise coaches now that she found through some forums, and she found them really easily. She just put up do you want to write for me? This is a leading website. And she's got a bunch of coaches. So now she can link back to them in the LinkedIn profile, and it'll show the EAT score, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. If Google manually review it or the bots look at it, it does have expert writers or contributors to the website now. And that's going to make a big difference to the site as well, I believe. So the health niche we find is still really good if the sites are reviewing like health related equipment and stuff. As long as they're not giving medical advice, then the health niche is still very lucrative for the majority of our students.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a nursing website, for example. We had a few websites now about different, like not specifically health, but sort of around that. And as long as it doesn't talk about medical advice, I think you are safe. But we also try to get. We had a psychology web, like a sort of like a therapy website, and we always try to get experts as well, like people that us medical students or like PhDs, and then you can put their profiles. So that's very good. So we talked about niches, and you mentioned hobbies, and I certainly agree. That's like buying a site with a hobby niche. That's the best. For me, if you find a small website about some kind of basket weaving or some obscure niche that's not too small, maybe slightly bigger than basket weaving, and it's like a boring niche, that's the best, because it's not very competitive, and you can gradually expand it. And the competitive niches are complicated. We do go more into competitive niches now because we have the capital, we have the team and everything. But I generally still prefer to go for sites that are less sort of competitive, or that have some sort of edge when we acquire them. But
and that's one of the
yeah,
that's one of the important things we teach beginners. Be very careful going into those ultra competitive, even the hobby niches. Some of them can be very competitive, but that tends to be, you can always find a niche in the hobby niche that is not that competitive.
Yeah, and like we absolutely avoid gambling now because it's so competitive.
Yep.
It's just ridiculous. You have to have massive amounts of backlinks.
I've got a friend who started online about 10 years before Liz and I, and he's very wealthy, and that's where he made his money, in the gambling niche. And he knows it really well. And he said to me, Matt, tell your clients, there are people like me in that niche, don't go in there if you're a beginner, because he said, it's interesting because I've always been, it's an interesting niche because now that it's been legalized in America, the laws have changed. Online gambling is now legalized in America. So that's changed the whole game, and it's attracted in massive investments, huge. And I was saying to my friend, is it worth going into? Because there's some really good affiliate offers and stuff. And he knows all the companies, and he just said, gosh, you got to have a good team behind you, deep pockets, and talking millions. Not as a beginner, you would not want to go in the gambling niche.
Yeah, and 20 years ago, that was the best thing, the best niche to get into.
Absolutely, it was easy money.
Yeah, progressively. And when I was starting out, I also had a few gambling websites, and it was amazing because you could get thousands of dollars in commission for one lead, one client. So yeah. But now sometimes I come across some gambling websites for sale, gambling affiliate websites, and it's just, it kind of looks a bit ridiculous. Like you would have a website earning like $20,000 per month, and it gets maybe like 400 visitors per month, and I'm just like doing due diligence, and it's it just not looks very good. Like the risk is just unproportional. Because you got like a little problem, you got a little, your competitor outranks you, and your website would just tank. Like you would lose 80% of revenue.
It doesn't. And you're up against competitors who are, these are publicly listed companies now with hundreds of millions of dollars, behind them. It's very difficult for a beginner to compete in that space. There's heaps easier niches out there. I mean, it just amazes me, our community, some of the sites that they buy that I've never thought of, and they make money off. It's just absolutely phenomenal, the deals there. I saw one the other day. I was helping one of our clients. He's a beginner, and he's bought this site, and it's just an AdSense site, but it's in Italian. So no one wanted to buy it on Flipper. He speaks Italian, and he just bought it. And it's just going to be a big content site with AdSense. And I think, that's really smart, those kind of sites. Because I said to him, how did you go doing the keyword research? That's where you've got to be careful. Can you speak Italian? And he said, yeah, I can. And it was all pretty straightforward. And he showed me his keyword research, and we both agreed there's lots of opportunities on that site. So that's the other way you can get really good wins that I've seen over the years, is buying sites not that are in the traditional geographic area of, say, America, is buying sites that are in Europe or in other languages. And Liz and I have done that. We've done it with Spanish sites. We've been very successful because Spanish is a relatively easy language to learn. And so I can read it and understand it, and I can still do my keyword research. But that's a really good opportunity if you're listening, whether you're a beginner or intermediate, especially if you're intermediate or advanced, is buying sites in other languages. We've seen some really good success stories with that as well. And that's a way you can go into more competitive niches too.
Yeah, it's a very interesting opportunity. I think it's one of the best opportunities now going for other languages.
Yep.
We have on episode 49, we had Kevin from .market EU.
Oh, yeah.
And that's actually a French marketplace. So you can buy websites in French. And he told me that on average, you can buy a French website for about double the annual profits. And there are some really good opportunities, which is, and with English-speaking websites, as we know, it's closer to like triple the annual profits nowadays, and even a little bit higher, right? So, and this is in French, and I think it's similar, from what I've seen, it's similar like in Spanish and other languages. More or less, you would end up paying like 20 to 25 times annual profit. I've also seen marketplaces in Russian, in Hebrew, in a few different languages. That are specific marketplaces for sites in that language. We actually don't buy any non-English sites now. It's just like the extra complexities, because you have to have someone do the keyword research, you have to have someone write the articles, and then you have to sell it and find a buyer in that language, which is really complicated. But I think for someone who is kind of starting out and doing things by themselves, this is a great opportunity, because you can find really good deals, and you can, like, if you speak the language, and then you can grow it, and if you write the content yourself, that should be relatively easy enough, or you can find writers later too. The biggest challenge actually with other languages is, I think, is the resale, because it's much harder to resell a site in another language.
You hold them for the cash flow. So to give you in our case, for Liz and I, with our portfolio of websites, for the last, I think now you'll find this interesting, I should have mentioned this at the beginning of the interview, the last 8 years, we've had 2 team members who are Spanish. One's in Spain, and the other one is in, where is she based? She's a work-at-home mum. She's worked for us. I think she's in Spain as well. And prior to that, we always had like someone based in Mexico, because we own a few Spanish websites. So we just hire staff off Upwork, or back then it was Odesk. And so, for many, many years, we've had Spanish websites, and we just hire, like you just mentioned. I mean, we're bigger than a beginner, obviously. We've got the funds to hire specific people, and all they're just dedicated to these websites that we own.
So when you buy the Spanish websites, what is the typical multiple you would pay? And if we're talking about like past few years, not like 10 years ago, past year or 2.
We haven't bought a Spanish site in a while, because we've just sat on these sites for the last 8 years. So we've just had, back then we would have bought them on a 10 times multiple. But they were on a lower multiple. I honestly can't remember, but we've just had these going long term. And we've always had our, particularly 2 of our team who are awesome people. We love having them with us. They've been working for us for the last 8 years on those sites. So it's pretty, what I was going to say is you touched on it. I think even for a beginner, it's relatively easy. So early in our journey, we were hiring Spanish speaking people. Once you know how to run a website, it's not as hard as you think. And there's a lot of talent out there. You can hire, like you said, I mean, everyone's favorite techies are the Russian techies, the Eastern European techies are brilliant. And so it's really easy now to hire people from Spain or Italy or whatever. This is what I said to our client the other day when he bought this site. I said, mate, you should hire someone on Upwork from Italy as well. Even though you say you speak the language, you should also hire your team members, make sure they're based in Italy. It's easy on Upwork now. And it's not as hard as what people think. And I think it's even easier. And particularly with Spanish is a very widely spoken language. I think it's the second most popular language on the planet now. A lot of Americans, particularly in Southern America, will speak, in California anyway, we've noticed lots of Americans speak Spanish. They're fine. And obviously got the whole of Mexico. We've hired really good staff from Mexico before. And of course with Google Translate, Spanish translates okay. It's not too bad. The main thing that I struggled with foreign, non-English speaking websites is just the keyword research, is understanding the nuances or the detail of how the language works. I can use Google Translate, but I typically need to hire someone on Upwork to help me with that. And that's what my team members do.
Spanish is probably the next
Easiest
one. I would look into it as well after English.
Yeah.
The languages that Thai speak. So I was looking at because I speak Russian, I was looking at the Russian marketplace before the past few years. We looked at a few different deals, and we never bought anything. And it's really complicated. First of all, it's very complicated to do a deal with Russia, because especially now that everything is banned, like you cannot send any money, you cannot receive anything.
No.
But even before, it was very difficult. Like even before this recent stuff happened, it was just too complicated, because the trust is also very difficult.
Yeah.
And there is the percentage of basically like scams is much higher than I've seen in any other language. So you have to be like a lot more careful also.
Well, I think one of the things that attracted us to the Spanish websites is the addressable market. It is huge. There's a lot of the world speaks Spanish. So we're online entrepreneurs. We figured that out. Well, Liz was the one that figured it out years ago. She said, "Hey, Matt, there's a lot of people speak Spanish. It's nearly as big as the English language. Why don't we expand?" Because we wanted to, the reason Liz came up with it, we wanted to go into some competitive niches. And that was kind of one of our plans. That was the strategy that we came up with, is why don't, instead of going to America, where all our affiliate sites are mostly located, why don't we go to not Spain, but say Mexico or Spain or any Spanish speaking country? There's a lot of people online Googling in Spanish, in the Spanish language. And when you do the keyword research, the volumes are very impressive. So for us, it was a no-brainer. That's why we went that way. And that's why we hired, Spanish speaking staff.
Yeah, very good. I think another bonus of buying sites in other languages is that you are more likely to find something that's an actual business, something that's not a website that's just built for resale, but like a passion project, which is always much better.
And that's our sweet spot. Finding the real passion sites. That's always been our sweet spot. That's what's always worked well for us and all our clients.
Yeah. And so we've discussed a bit about niches, but what are your thoughts about monetization? So obviously when it comes to content sites, you would have sites that are monetized by just ads, like ad networks, and then affiliate networks, or they sell their own products. Do you differentiate? Do you advise your customers to buy sites that are monetized in a specific way? What are your thoughts on that?
Yep. So I've always been a big fan of AdSense monetizing sites. I know it's boring, and I know it doesn't look like on the surface it makes that much money or anything like that, but we've had huge success, as you would have, Michael. And then I think anyone that started online more than 10 years ago is probably a big fan of AdSense, because it's just blue chip. It just chips along 24/7. It's automated. And that long-term ROI from AdSense is phenomenal. And they're always, you mentioned something before, the resale value of AdSense sites is very high. We can easily sell AdSense sites for good money. I view them as blue chip monetized sites. And I do want to reiterate, those of you who are more advanced, you probably think, well, they don't pay as much and they're pretty boring. Yep, but they make you rich long-term. We're like Warren Buffett, just let it compound over the years. And of course, what makes AdSense even better now is the new ad networks like a Zoic and Mediavine and AdThrive. That's a no-brainer to, mix that up to test those out on new sites that you might buy, particularly once you get a bit more traffic onto your sites. But the other thing that we're really big fans of is finding, like Lisa, who turned around that site from making $200 to making $5,000 a month to making eventually $30,000 a month, is finding Amazon affiliate sites and then remonetizing them with much better offers. Because Amazon affiliates, you know, that it happened with Google. People forget Google ads cut their commissions as well. It's not just Amazon that do it. As much as of a fan I am of Google, they're just like Amazon. They will cut their their payout rates on your clicks. But Amazon, you know, what do they pay now? 1 to 4% if you're lucky. Whereas you can easily go out there now, way easier than what you could have 10 years ago, and find direct affiliate offers or better affiliate offers that maybe pay 10 to 20%. That's on physical goods. And we're big fans of negotiating directly. Once you get more traffic and you get the site more successful, is finding competitors to who would normally be on Amazon to either direct advertise or give you a direct affiliate offers. And that's one of the successes of what our student Lisa's done. She now gets like a 20% payout, whereas Amazon only used to pay 4% on that same piece of equipment that she reviews. They now pay 20%. So she went direct to the manufacturer in America. And actually, here's an interesting story for you. We've got quite a few clients here in Australia. So we're a long way from America, right? Even with small niche sites, American manufacturers, some of you may not realize this, our guys in Australia, we teach them to direct approach the manufacturers or the distributors in America. They will send out the products to Australia for them to test and review and keep. And so we had a client, he bought a site on Flipper for $1,000. It was on stand-up paddle boards. You know what they are? You know, where you stand up in your paddle, stand-up paddle boards. So he bought it for $1,000, making a couple of $100 a month. And he's fixed it up and he's made it look a lot better and it's working really well. And he's making money through Amazon affiliate offers. And he did what we said. He approached the main stand-up paddleboard that he reviews. And they said, we'll send you one in the post. And this is like it's a big thing. And he was so happy. And he took a video of it. He's put it on his YouTube channel and he showed them and they're really happy. So now he gets an affiliate link off them instead of getting, what do you get for stand-up paddleboards? 2% or something off Amazon. He's now getting, I don't know what it is. It's not like it's significantly better. But what's cute is that, they sent him this big stand-up paddleboard via a courier all the way to Australia. And he said, do you want me to send it back? And they go, no, you keep it. So, and he's had two other, so now he's had 3 in total sent to him from other manufacturers as well. So, you know, and we've got a lot of clients who do that by this direct approaching manufacturers. You can create a relationship with them, particularly if you've got a bit of traffic coming into your site, and they will send you product to test and review, and you can get direct affiliate offers, or they'll advertise. We like selling sponsorship packages as well on websites for manufacturers who want to direct advertise. So that means you might give them, you know, preferred placement for articles and for ads and a mail out in your newsletter or your social media. You can do that sort of thing to boost the monetization of a website as well.
Yeah, we've done some of that as well. And it's certainly a big opportunity. There are many websites now promoting Amazon, but the commissions are so low, like 1, 3, 5, 6%.
Yeah,
for example,
4%.
we've had a website, and the manufacturers, they are very open to paying you extra, or to sending you products. Like, for example, we've had this website in a health niche, and the Amazon commission at the time, I believe, was 6%, and I think it was cut to 3% or so, or maybe it's still 6%. I don't recall now. But when we approached one of the big manufacturers that we were selling the most products with, and just to kind of like discuss some opportunity to sell directly and so on. So we looked at, they had a direct affiliate program, and they were going to pay us 30% instead of like the 6%. But the challenge is, directly it doesn't convert as well as it does on Amazon. Like Amazon converts extremely well. So we've discussed so we kind of made an arrangement that we would continue promoting them on Amazon, but we would put their products as the top recommended option, and also like to write a little bit of a review. And they, if I recall, they gave us like 8% extra. So they actually gave us more than what Amazon pays, like more than what they were earning on Amazon. And they just give it to us only for putting them as number 1 and kind of promoting them a little bit more. So the Amazon commissions are so low that if you can go directly, and that's actually the best way I found, is to continue promoting a company via Amazon, but to also get some sort of direct kickback, because then it's easy to make the changes and you don't lose the conversions. And also
that's the other thing. Oh, you go.
Also, there's amazing opportunities with just the typical affiliate programs and networks and CPA offers. Pretty much everything, all the affiliate programs we use, we've been able to negotiate higher rates, and sometimes it's substantially higher, like you would have 3 times higher rates. And that, of course, we have the benefit of having a larger portfolio of sites, so that gives us more leverage. But even people that only have one website, if you simply talk to your affiliate manager and ask them for an increase, most of the time you get a positive feedback.
We've learned that one many years ago. But we just kept asking our affiliate manager, and because we admittedly we were ranking like position 1 to 3 in Google consistently, and he knew that. So we just kept going back to him, say, what can you do on the commission? And he gave us their highest commission. It was 45% on this one product. And he said, Matt, you can't go any higher. There's only one other company on the planet that gets that commission. And it's a very big corporate that I'm not allowed to say the name, but that anyone listening to this show would know. And he said, he goes, you want to know something interesting? I go, what's that? He goes, you're the only other affiliate that's gotten that rate. And you know why? And I said, why? He goes, because you asked. I was the only person that kept asking for a higher affiliate rate. And he said, not that he would necessarily give that same rate as a corporate, but we got the same rate as this big corporate, which I was pretty pleased about. So
that is impressive.
And exactly like you said, just by asking though, no one else apparently asked him.
And often these companies, they have like a minimum number of sales you need to receive in order to go up to a certain commission level. And most people take that at face value, but this is all completely arbitrary. Like as an example, we have a few sites that promote VPN affiliates, and they're extremely competitive. So what we did, we would go to one VPN like NordVPN and negotiate a little bit, and another one ExpressVPN and another one, and say like, oh, this guy gave us this CPA, this guy gave us this CPA. And then quickly after a couple of weeks, we basically got the highest rates possible in the industry. And then at some point, it was so ridiculous that at some point we were speaking to an affiliate manager, and he told us that like officially there, like you need to receive some completely ridiculous amount of sales, like 10,000 sales in a month or so to get that kind of rate that we received. And we were not getting anywhere near that. And that's the thing, you simply ask, and then if it doesn't work, you say that the competitor offered us this, and then you go to the competitor and you do it. The important thing also is not to do it too many times. You don't want to antagonize your affiliate manager, but just doing it a couple of times gives you.
That's one of the key things we teach our guys too. When you get into these specific affiliate offers, make sure you get on well with your affiliate manager. Because we've far out of, we had some big wins with, or just had so much help too, because inevitably once you create a relationship with the affiliate manager, like you said, they're just there to get sales. That's all they care about. And, so if you're a nice person and you get on well with them, they'll give you hints and tips that you'd never pick up elsewhere, because they see all the data. They see who's getting the most sales. So we've had affiliate managers tell us stuff that I'm sure they should not have. They'll say, do you know so-and-so a competitor? And I go, yeah, they're position 1 in Google. And they say, well, they do this much. So if you can get to that amount, and just all the inside things. And then I've had affiliate managers recommend other products to me on the websites and stuff, better offers and things like that, even competing products. That's what I mean, this collaborative nature of this industry. They're not shy to make suggestions to help you monetize your site with other ways, because they want you to be successful. These are the good affiliate managers, but affiliate managers are absolute gold mines. Once you get the right one,
Yeah, I think affiliate managers often get some bad rep because
Yeah.
everyone gets so much spam now, so much automated email from different affiliate managers. But the truth is they can be extremely helpful. Yeah, one of our biggest sites now, we have a very helpful affiliate manager, and he just shares the information on what are the best products to promote, what are the products that convert the best to them, what are the products that have the least competition actually in Google. Like, for example, this company, they have this newly released products, and there are no competitors selling those products. So there are no other affiliate programs. So there is no one really in the SERPs. So it's much better for us. We just write an article and already rank there. And also he often shares with us, which is the most important thing, the information about competitor websites. And we try not to ask anything that would be confidential, but the main value is understanding that this website is, like you said, like it's receiving, this much traffic and for this kind of ranking, and that's how many sales they can get and so on. And that can be extremely valuable. Yeah. All right. So we've covered quite a few different topics. And lastly, I want to ask you, what are your thoughts about the current and future trends of the industry? What do you see happening now? What do you anticipate to happen in the next few years? How do you think this industry of buying and selling websites will change?
I think I've got a really unique perspective on that when you think about it, because of our background of buying and selling bricks and mortar businesses and doing mergers and acquisitions in that space. And I think the good news is, you look at the online buying and selling of businesses, I think it's reached the same kind of levels as bricks and mortar world. The valuations are very similar. And the good thing about that is that means it's here to stay. And I think we're at the beginning of the next boom, because there's so many people now wanting to get online, especially after COVID. People now all want to work from home. You've got this idea, particularly in America, of the Great Resignation. We're seeing that here in Australia as well. People don't want to go back to work, so they want to own an online business. Plus, you've got on this hand, you've got a lot of the world now getting online and buying stuff, and they realise, like this, we're on Zoom. We do everything online now. So we've got this huge opportunity where the online space is just getting bigger. And I know, we've been saying this for years, this is a booming market. But I think the future is very, very bright. I think we're actually got a lot of opportunities, because I think we've reached maturity in the valuations. We've seen all these big buyers, the people that I used to deal with in private equity firms and stuff, they're all now buying online businesses. So we're seeing big buyers come into the marketplace, just like what happened with bricks and mortar world. And so if you look at bricks and mortar world, bricks and mortar businesses have been bought and sold for the last, 1,000 years or, hundreds of years. And, okay, it goes up and down with the economy, but on the whole, it's like real estate, it's always there. Although businesses tend to always sell at a certain multiple. And so that's the good thing about online business. I think it's only going to grow. I think the future is very bright, and, just seeing the valuations go up in, acquisitions of websites, that's exciting. That's really exciting. It's reaching maturity. Like you're getting the same valuations in bricks and mortar world. And yes, there's potentially a little bit of froth from the, COVID space. And that's probably driven by the public markets, because there's a lot of funds on the sidelines, like, hundreds of millions. What is it? What was it last year? There was, how many billion was raised to buy e-commerce sites by all the aggregators? You've got a lot of that coming in, which is a good thing for the market. And that's now filtering down to content sites, which I'm really excited about for the sake of our clients. And we're telling all our clients the future is owning high quality content sites. I don't think you can go wrong with that. People will always be online searching up information, and that's where content sites absolutely rock. And I think long-term, you will find content sites are highly, highly valuable digital assets, just like real estate.
All right, very good. So how can our listeners learn more about you and take your courses or do some trainings with you?
Great question. Just visit the ebusinessinstitute.com.au. And what I'd recommend is, if you're interested in our process and our step-by-step process of how we buy, build, and fix up websites to resell, and how our students are doing this full time, then do our free masterclass. We've got a free masterclass on there, and you can go and listen to that. And basically it runs through the whole strategy. And then at the end of it, we do talk about our courses, but there's a free masterclass that runs through our strategy of what sort of sites that we're looking to buy and what we do when we buy them. So if you go to ebusinessinstitute.com.au and look at, just click on the button for the free masterclass.
All right, thank you, Matt. It was a pleasure to talk to you. Until
no
next
worries,
time.
Michael. Yeah, it's great having me. Thanks so much for having me on.
Domain Magnet is a leader in buying and selling online businesses with a proven track record of expertise gained from over 300 deals since 2004. To learn more about how we can help you acquire or exit a profitable online business today, head over to domainmagnet.com for more details.